opening the Vrak Empire, had conquered 47 star systems without breaking a sweat. Their military doctrine was simple: show up with overwhelming force, demand surrender, and accept submission within 3 planetary rotations. It had worked every single time for 200 years. The ultimatum, when their scout ships detected Earth, the Vrak consul barely paid attention. Just another primitive world with basic space travel. Commander Valen led a standard intimidation fleet of 50 warships into Earth's orbit. The message was transmitted in 12 languages. Surrender your world. Resistance means extinction. You have 72 hours. Humanity's response: the United Earth Government received the ultimatum at 0900 hours, Greenwich Mean Time, by 0905. Emergency protocols activated across every nation. The Security Council convened immediately. There was no panic in the room, only cold calculation. President Torres spoke first. "Gentlemen and ladies, we've prepared for this scenario. Execute Protocol Reaper." The Vrak's confusion commander Valen expected pleading, negotiation, or immediate surrender. Instead, something strange happened. Earth went silent. Every communication channel shut down. Satellites began repositioning. Then, 71 hours and 59 minutes after the ultimatum, humanity sent its reply. It was a single word: no. The opening move, the Vrak, laughed at human defiance. Valen ordered a demonstration strike on a military installation in the Pacific. His weapons officer locked targeting solutions. But before the order to fire completed, something impossible happened. 3 Vrak ships simply disappeared from scanners. Not destroyed, just gone. Valen's tactical officer reported gravitational anomalies around the missing vessels. Then the communication came through, audio only. Human words translated by their computers. You chose this. Humanity's hidden preparation. What the Vrak didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for hostile first contact for 60 years. After developing faster-than-light detection grids in 2089, Earth's governments made a secret pact. They called it the Unity Doctrine. If aliens came in peace, humanity would welcome them. If aliens came with threats, humanity would show them why Earth's history was written in blood. The trap springs. 3 missing Vrak ships had been caught in experimental spatial distortion fields, weapons that bent space itself into maze-like prisons. They weren't destroyed because humanity wanted prisoners, wanted intelligence, wanted to learn everything about their enemy before the real war began. Commander Valen, finally understanding he'd made a terrible mistake, ordered a full assault on Earth, every weapon fired. But humanity had been tracking the Vrak fleet since they entered the solar system. Earth's orbital defense platforms, disguised as communication satellites and space debris, activated simultaneously. Earth's defense network. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a slaughter. Railguns firing projectiles at a fraction of light speed. Directed energy weapons. Nuclear-pumped lasers. Kinetic missiles. And something the Vrak had never encountered. Smart mines that used microjumps to position themselves inside enemy shields. 20 Vrak ships died in the first 90 seconds. Valen's flagship took critical damage. His bridge filled with smoke and screaming. The weapons officer reported the impossible. "Commander, their technology level was supposed to be primitive." The human philosophy. What the Vrak failed to understand was simple. Humans didn't develop space travel to explore. They developed it to defend. Every human child learned about the great filter theory in school, the idea that something destroys civilizations before they spread among the stars. Humanity decided that if something came to filter them, they'd be ready. The retreat Valen ordered retreat. Of his 50 ships, only 16 remained functional. As they prepared emergency jumps, another human transmission came through, this time with video. A middle-aged man in a military uniform sat calmly at a desk. Admiral Cole spoke clearly. Tell your empire this. Earth offers peace to those who come in peace. But if you bring war to our home, we will show you what 10,000 years of human warfare has taught us. We are very, very good at killing. The warning ignored Commander Valen jumped his surviving ships back to Vrak space. He reported the disaster to the Council. They didn't believe him. The Vrak Empire had never retreated, never lost a first contact war. The Council decided that Valen was simply incompetent. They would send a real Fleet 300, warships with their finest commander. They would teach these humans their place in the galaxy. They had no idea what they'd just started. Asterisk the War Council fleet. Marshal Kren stood before the Vrak High Council. His forearms crossed in traditional military posture. He had commanded campaigns across 20 systems and never lost a battle. The Council's decision was unanimous. Crush humanity completely. Make an example that would echo across the galaxy for generations. Kren studied the data from Valen's disaster with cold interest. The humans had good defensive technology, yes, but defense only delayed the inevitable. He would bring 300 warships, elite troops, and planet-killer weapons. Earth would burn, and the Vrak Empire would remain undefeated. Humanity prepares Admiral Cole stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva. Holographic displays showed Earth's entire military network activating. Every nation had contributed everything. The old borders meant nothing now. There was only humanity, and humanity was going to war. General Williams reviewed troop deployments. Ground forces are positioned at 30 probable landing sites. Orbital strikes teams ready. Underground bunkers at full capacity with 6 months' supplies. Cole nodded. What about the Luna installations? Armed and waiting, sir. Mars Colony reports ready status. The belt miners have converted 17 asteroids into weapons platforms. Cole allowed himself a thin smile. Humanity owned the solar system now. Let the Vrak come. The Vrak Armada arrives 4 weeks after Valen's retreat. Kren's fleet emerged at the edge of Earth's solar system. 300 warships arranged in perfect formation, a demonstration of power meant to terrify. They broadcast their message on all frequencies. Humanity will surrender unconditionally or face complete extinction. You have 24 hours. Kren expected panic. He expected surrender. What he got was silence for exactly 60 seconds. Then a reply came from Earth. Marshal Kren, we know your name, your service record, your family station on the Vrak homeworld. We've studied your tactics. We know how you think. This is your only chance to leave our system alive. Turn around now. Kren laughed, a harsh clicking sound. These primitives threatened him? With information? He ordered the fleet to advance toward Earth at battle speed. The asteroid belt awakens the Vrak fleet past Mars orbit without incident. Kren grew confident. Perhaps the humans had exhausted their defenses, destroying Valen's ships. Perhaps they were bluffing. His tactical displays showed empty space ahead, clear passage to Earth. Then the asteroids moved. 17 massive rocks, each equipped with hidden engines and weapon systems, suddenly changed trajectory. They'd been drifting in predictable orbits for months, looking like natural objects. Now they revealed their true nature. Railguns mounted on asteroid surfaces opened fire. Each rock was essentially a weapons platform. With unlimited ammunition, they just carved more projectiles from their own mass. Dozens of Vrak ships took hits before they could react. Space warfare, human-style. Kren ordered evasive maneuvers and returned fire. His ships could destroy the asteroids easily enough, but that took time and ammunition. While his fleet focused on the obvious threat, humanity's real attack began. Small ships, no larger than fighters, emerged from hiding spots throughout the belt. They moved erratically, unpredictably, using chemical rockets that left minimal heat signatures. Each carried a single weapon, a nuclear device with a magnetic clamp. The Vrak point defense systems were designed for missiles and energy weapons, not for thinking opponents who flew like maniacs and attached bombs directly to hull plating. 12 Vrak ships died in nuclear fireballs before Kren understood what was happening. They're suicide attackers. His tactical officer screamed, but they weren't. Each human pilot ejected microseconds before detonation, their escape pods designed for stealth. Humanity didn't waste lives needlessly. They just fought smarter than the Vrak expected. The moon's surprise, Kren pulled his fleet back, regrouping at lunar orbit. He'd lost 40 ships, but still had overwhelming numbers. He would bombard Earth from here, destroy the human homeworld without risking more vessels. His weapons officers began charging the main cannons. Target locks acquired. Then the moon lit up. Humanity had spent 70 years hollowing out sections of the lunar surface, installing massive electromagnetic launchers. Now those railguns fired, sending tungsten rods the size of telephone poles toward the Vrak fleet at incredible velocities. At those speeds, the rods hit with the force of tactical nuclear weapons. No explosion, just pure kinetic energy. 30 more Vrak ships shattered like glass. Kren's realization, Fleet Marshal Kren, for the first time in his military career, felt something he'd never experienced before: fear. These humans weren't just defending, they were winning. Every piece of space infrastructure, every satellite, every installation had been weaponized. He'd brought 300 ships to conquer one primitive world. He was down to 210. And Earth's real defenses hadn't even activated yet. Asterisk. The orbital kill zone Fleet Marshal Kren ordered his remaining ships into a defensive sphere formation. Standard Vrak doctrine: concentrate firepower, eliminate threats systematically. His tactical computers calculated that even with losses, he still possessed enough firepower to sterilize Earth's surface 3 times over. What his computers didn't account for was human creativity born from desperation. Admiral Cole watched the Vrak formation from deep space tracking stations. The aliens were predictable, following textbook military strategy. Humans had stopped following textbooks after the first nuclear weapon was created. War wasn't about rules, it was about survival. Activate the satellite network, Cole ordered quietly. The debris field attack for 80 years. Humanity had been launching satellites. Thousands of them. Communication satellites, weather monitors, GPS systems, scientific instruments. When they stopped working, most were left in orbit, adding to the growing cloud of space junk. Except 30% weren't actually broken. They were sleeping, waiting for this exact moment. Throughout Earth's orbital space, dead satellites suddenly powered up. Small thrusters fired, adjusting positions with mathematical precision. Within minutes, thousands of objects formed a closing net around the Vrak sphere formation. Kren's sensors detected the movement too late. His officer shouted, "Debris field incoming, multiple vectors." Each satellite carried a simple payload: ball bearings, metal fragments, shrapnel. When they detonated, they created expanding clouds of deadly projectiles moving at orbital velocities. At those speeds, a paint chip could penetrate armor. Millions of metal fragments created a storm that shredded shields and tore through hull plating. 20 Vrak ships took critical damage. 5 exploded outright. The formation broke apart in chaos as captains tried desperately to navigate through the deadly clouds. The counter-attack run rallied his forces, firing wildly at anything that moved. His ships destroyed hundreds of satellites, vaporized tons of debris. But for every threat eliminated, sensors detected 10 more. The humans had turned their own orbital pollution into a weapon. Break orbit, Kren commanded. Retreat to high orbit and regroup. His fleet burned engines hard, climbing away from Earth. They left the debris clouds behind, moving into clearer space. Kren's bridge crew breathed relief. They'd lost 40 more ships, but survived the trap. Then Earth's surface opened fire, ground-based. Weapons the Vrak had assumed ground-based weapons couldn't threaten ships in high orbit. They were wrong. Humanity had built weapons specifically for this purpose. Massive installations powered by entire nuclear reactors. Laser arrays fired from 20 locations across the planet. Each beam alone wasn't enough to destroy a warship, but humanity didn't fire them separately. Advanced targeting computers synchronized every laser to focus on single points. 20 beams became one devastating weapon that could punch through any shield. Particle accelerators, built into mountain ranges, launched streams of heavy ions into space. Chemical lasers hidden in desert installations added their firepower. Electromagnetic pulse cannons fired from oceanic platforms. Designed to disable electronics at extreme range, the Vrak fleet found itself trapped between orbital debris below and concentrated fire from below. Kren's flagship took a direct hit from synchronized lasers. Shields collapsed. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Casualty reports flooded his command console. Human resolve in the Geneva war room. Admiral Cole monitored the battle with grim satisfaction. Humanity was taking losses too. Every shot fired cost enormous amounts of power. Several ground installations had been destroyed by Vrak return fire, and 3 cities had been evacuated due to orbital bombardment, but they were winning. Against a force that had conquered 47 worlds, humanity was actually winning. General Williams approached with updated projections. At current rates, we can maintain this firepower level for another 18 hours. After that, we'll need to cycle reactors for cooling. How many Vrak ships left? Cole asked. 143 operational, sir. Another 20 damaged, but still fighting. Cole nodded slowly. They'd destroyed or disabled more than half the invasion fleet. But that still left enough firepower to devastate Earth if they got through. Prepare Phase 3. It's time to show them why humans rule this planet. Kren's Decision Fleet Marshal Kren stared at his tactical display in disbelief. He'd come to conquer primitives and found himself in the fight of his life. Every assumption about human capability had been wrong. These weren't primitive beings. They were apex predators who'd spent their entire evolutionary history learning to kill. His communication officer interrupted his thoughts. Marshal, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Admiral Cole's face appeared on the screen, expression hard as stone. Marshal Kren, you've now lost over half your fleet. We can keep killing you, or you can retreat. But if you continue this attack, if you force us to use our final weapons, I promise you this, your fleet won't be the only thing destroyed today. Kren felt confusion. Final weapons? What could be worse than what they'd already faced? Cole continued, voice dropping to something cold and terrible. We are offering you mercy, Marshal. Something your empire never offered anyone else. Leave now, or discover why humanity has 30,000 nuclear weapons in our arsenal, and we're willing to use every single one. The ultimate threat Kren understood nuclear weapons. Primitive fission and fusion devices. Powerful against ground targets, but relatively useless against shielded starships in space. Was this a bluff? Then his science officer gasped, staring at sensor readings. Marshal, I'm detecting massive energy signatures launching from Earth's surface. Trajectories calculated. They're not aimed at us. Then where? Kren demanded. The officer's voice shook. They're aimed at Earth itself, sir. Specifically at the Yellowstone Volcanic Complex, the San Andreas Fault Line, and 15 other geological instability zones. Kren felt his blood run cold. These humans weren't bluffing. They were threatening to trigger planet-wide geological catastrophes. They would rather destroy their own world than let it be conquered. Admiral Cole spoke again, and now Kren heard the absolute certainty in his voice. We spent billions of years climbing from oceans to space. We survived ice ages, plagues, and countless wars with ourselves. Earth made us strong, Marshal. And if we can't have her, neither can you. You have 5 minutes to begin your retreat. After that, we start breaking our own planet, and your fleet dies in the chaos. Kren stared at the human on his screen and finally understood the terrible truth. Humanity wasn't just willing to die for their world. They were willing to take everyone with them. Asterisk, the retreat fleet Marshal Kren made the hardest decision of his military career. His hand shook slightly as he gave the order. All ships, begin emergency jump procedures. We're leaving this system. His officers stared in shock. The Vrak Empire did not retreat, ever. But Kren had seen something in Admiral Cole's eyes that terrified him more than any weapon absolute conviction. These humans meant every word. They would destroy their own planet rather than surrender. The remaining Vrak ships began powering their jump drives. Earth's weapons continued firing, destroying 3 more vessels before the fleet could escape. Finally, in flashes of distorted space, the Vrak armada vanished, leaving behind debris fields and the wreckage of over 160 warships. Humanity had won its first interstellar war. The aftermath on Earth, Admiral. Cole stood before the United Earth Council, 48 hours after the Vrak retreat. The room was silent as he delivered his report. Every nation's representative wore the same expression: exhausted relief mixed with growing dread. The orbital defense network is at 20% capacity, Cole stated flatly. Ground-based weapons need major repairs. We expended 60% of our nuclear arsenal preparing geological strikes that thankfully we didn't have to execute. Our victory came at enormous cost. President Torres spoke carefully. But we did win, Admiral, against overwhelming odds. We won this battle, Cole corrected. The Vrak Empire spans dozens of systems. They have hundreds more ships. And now we've humiliated them. They'll come back, and next time they'll bring everything. The council chamber filled with worried murmurs. General Williams stepped forward with a datapad. There's another issue. We've detected unusual communications traffic throughout nearby space. The battle was observed. Cole nodded grimly. Other species watched us fight. Now they know Earth exists, and they know we're dangerous. The Vrak homeworld Kren's return brought shame upon his family line. He stood before the High Council, stripped of rank, awaiting judgment. The council leader's voice dripped with contempt. You lost over half our fleet to primitives. Explain. Kren met their eyes without flinching. They're not primitives. They're survivors. Every weapon they used, every tactic they employed, came from centuries of fighting themselves. They've perfected warfare in ways we've never imagined, because we've never had to. We conquer through intimidation. Humans conquer through adaptation. Excuses, another council member spat. Truth, Kren replied. I reviewed their history during the retreat. In their last century alone, they fought 2 global wars that killed over 100 million of their own species. They created weapons capable of destroying their entire biosphere, then built more. They didn't develop space travel to explore, they developed it to survive. Every human alive today is descended from survivors of countless wars, plagues, and extinctions. They're not like other species we've encountered. They're evolved for conflict. The council leader leaned forward. You're saying the mighty Vrak Empire should fear one backwater world? I'm saying, Kren responded quietly, that we should leave them alone. Because if we don't, if we commit our full military strength to destroying Earth, we might succeed. But the cost will cripple us, leave us vulnerable to rivals. And if even a handful of humans survive and escape into space. He paused, letting the implication hang. They'll spend generations hunting us. They'll never stop, never forgive. That's what their history teaches. The trading guilds take notice across the galaxy. Various species and factions analyze data from the Earth battle. In the neutral trade station orbiting Kelmer Prime, representatives from a dozen civilizations gathered in an emergency session. The Margat diplomat, a crystalline being, shared sensor recordings. The humans demonstrated technological capability far beyond their apparent development level. They've been preparing for hostile contact for decades. They also demonstrated tactical creativity, added the Thalon military observer, converting civilian infrastructure into weapons, using their own orbital debris as ammunition, threatening planetary suicide rather than surrender. These are not rational behaviors. The Kelmer trademaster clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Or perhaps they're extremely rational. They understood that showing weakness invites destruction. So they showed strength, even when it required sacrificing their own resources. The question, the Margat diplomat said slowly, is what do we do with this information? The Vrock Empire will want revenge. Do we support them, stay neutral, or, he paused meaningfully, reach out to humanity first? Silence filled the chamber as each representative considered the implications. First contact with humans could be extremely profitable or extremely dangerous. Perhaps both. Earth's new reality, Admiral Cole reviewed intelligence reports in his office. The war had ended, but Earth's problems were just beginning. They'd revealed their capabilities to the galaxy, made enemies, and exhausted their defenses doing it. General Williams entered without knocking. We're picking up transmissions. Multiple sources, different languages. Some are being translated by our computers. What do they say? Cole asked. Williams handed him a datapad. Trade offers, diplomatic overtures, threats, warnings. Half the galaxy wants to talk to us now. The other half wants us dead. Cole read through the messages, his expression darkening. One message caught his attention, from an unknown source. Humanity has passed the first trial. You've proven you can defend yourselves against conventional threats. But the galaxy holds dangers far worse than the Vrock Empire. Forces that destroyed civilizations before yours existed. You've announced your presence. Now pray you're ready for what notices you. Cole set down the pad and looked at Williams. We need to accelerate the colony ship program. Start building a proper space fleet. And prepare diplomatic teams. We're going on the offensive? Williams asked. No, Cole replied. We're going to survive. Humanity just graduated from planetary species to galactic civilization. And we're going to make damn sure we don't get filtered out of existence. He walked to the window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, humanity's future waited full of allies, enemies, and challenges they couldn't yet imagine. But they'd learned one critical lesson. The galaxy respected strength. And humanity had just proven they had plenty of it. Asterisk. 6 months later, the Geneva Space Council had replaced the old United Earth government. Every nation contributed resources to a single goal, preparing humanity for a hostile galaxy. Admiral Cole now commanded not just Earth's defense, but the entire Sol system's military infrastructure. Construction yards orbited Earth, Mars, and Luna, working day and night. Humanity was building its first true war fleet, not defensive platforms, but ships designed to fight anywhere in the galaxy. The lesson from the Vrock War was clear. Defense alone wouldn't be enough. Captain Mike Turner stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first real warship. It wasn't the biggest vessel under construction, but it was the first combat-ready ship built from the ground up for space warfare. Behind him, a crew of 60 worked at their stations, running final system checks. All stations report ready, his first officer said. We're cleared for departure. Turner took a breath. This was it, humanity's first step beyond defensive warfare into the larger galaxy. Take us out. Set course for the outer system. Let's see what our ship can do. The diplomatic mission. All warships launched. A different kind of mission prepared on Earth. Ambassador Lisa Grant reviewed her briefing materials nervously. She'd been chosen to lead humanity's first diplomatic contact with the Kelmer Trade, collective one of the groups that had reached out after the Vrock battle. Her assistant, Tom, entered the office with coffee. You ready for this? To represent humanity to aliens who might want to trade with us or kill us. Lisa smiled weakly. Not even slightly. But someone has to do it. The Kelmer had sent coordinates for a meeting at their neutral station. They promised safe passage and claimed interest in mutually beneficial arrangements. It could be genuine. It could be a trap. Either way, humanity needed allies. Remember the briefing, Tom reminded her. Show confidence, but not aggression. Demonstrate value without revealing weaknesses. And most importantly, don't let them think we're desperate, Lisa finished. Even though we are. We survived the Vrock, Tom said firmly. That's not desperation. That's strength. The Vrock Empire's dilemma on the Vrock homeworld, the High Council debated endlessly. Former Fleet Marshal Kren's warnings had divided them. Some wanted immediate revenge, to gather every available ship and burn Earth to ashes. Others urged caution, fearing the cost. Council leader Viarn studied casualty reports and resource analyses. The humans had destroyed over half a fleet without losing a single planet. Escalating would require committing forces needed to defend against the Vrock Empire's other enemies who would see such a deployment as weakness to exploit. We have a proposal, announced council member. Thak, rather than direct assault. We spread information about humanity throughout the galaxy. Let others fear them. Isolate them. Turn the entire galactic community against Earth. Viarn considered this. Diplomatic warfare instead of military? The humans humiliated us, Thak replied. But perhaps we can make them pariahs. Convince other species that humanity is too dangerous to interact with. Let them die alone in their system, afraid to venture out while we profit from their isolation. It was clever, Viarn admitted. Make humanity's strength into their prison. Begin the information campaign. But quietly. We don't want anyone knowing we're behind it. First contact with the Kelmer Ambassador Grant's ship arrived at the Kelmer station right on schedule. The structure was massive, a spinning wheel of metal and light where dozens of species conducted business. Her escort of 4 human fighters maintained formation, reminder that Earth came in peace, but not defenseless. The Kelmer trademaster met her in a vast conference chamber. He was insectoid, with multiple limbs and compound eyes that reflected light strangely. Grant forced herself not to show discomfort. Ambassador Grant, the trade master clicked in translated speech. Welcome. We've been eager to meet humanity officially. Thank you for the invitation, Grant replied carefully. Earth is interested in establishing peaceful relations with the galactic community. Of course, of course. The trade master gestured to displays showing various goods and resources. We have much to offer. Technology, raw materials, information about galactic politics. In exchange, we're interested in human innovations. Your weapons technology is quite impressive. There it was. They wanted humanity's military secrets. Grant smiled politely. I'm sure we can find areas of mutual benefit, though perhaps we should start with cultural exchanges and basic trade before discussing military matters. The trade master's mandibles clicked in, what might have been amusement or irritation. Very cautious. Perhaps too cautious. You should know that information about your battle with the Vrak is spreading. Some species are curious. Others are fearful. A few are interested in testing whether humanity's reputation is deserved. Grant felt her stomach tighten. Are you threatening us? Warning you, the trade master corrected. The galaxy is not kind to newcomers, especially aggressive ones. You defeated the Vrak, yes, but they're not the strongest power in this region. Not even close. You've attracted attention, Ambassador. Dangerous attention. Then I suppose, Grant said carefully, we'll need friends. Exactly. The trade master leaned forward. Which is why we're talking. The Kelmer Collective offers protection, trade partnerships, and information for the right price. Without allies, humanity won't survive a year. Back on Earth, Admiral Cole received Grant's preliminary report with mixed feelings. The Kelmer were offering exactly what humanity needed, but the price would be steep. They wanted access to human weapons technology, preferential trade status, and military cooperation agreements that could drag Earth into conflicts it knew nothing about. General Williams reviewed the same data. It's extortion disguised as friendship. Maybe, Cole agreed. But they're right about one thing. We need information. We're flying blind out here. We don't know who's strong, who's weak, who's trustworthy. We're children stumbling into a room full of adults, and some of those adults are predators. So we pay their price? Cole was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Finally, he spoke. We pay some of it. We give them enough to make the deal attractive, but hold back our best innovations. We learn everything we can from them. And we keep building our fleet. He pulled up projections showing construction timelines. In 2 years, humanity would have 50 warships. In 5 years, 200. In 10 years, enough firepower to defend the entire Sol system against any threat. We survived the Vrak by being smarter and more ruthless, Cole continued. Now we survive the galaxy the same way. We make allies where we can, enemies where we must, and we never stop preparing for war. Because out there? He pointed toward space. War is coming. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but someone will eventually test us again. And when they do? Williams asked. Cole's expression hardened. We show them what the Vrak learned. That humanity doesn't just fight to win battles. We fight to win wars. Total wars. The kind where the enemy regrets ever hearing our name. Humanity's promise across Earth. Millions watched news broadcasts showing the Defiance and other new ships departing for patrol duties. They saw Ambassador Grant's diplomatic mission. They heard speeches about humanity's future among the stars. What they didn't see were the secret facilities being built in asteroid belts. The weapon research programs developing technology beyond anything used against the Vrak. The intelligence networks spreading throughout. Galactic trade routes. The colony ships being prepared to seed humanity across multiple systems. Insurance against extinction. Earth had declared itself to the galaxy. Now came the hard part. Surviving in a universe where strength was the only universal language. Where trust was rare, and where humanity's greatest advantage was also its greatest curse. They were alone. Newly arrived, and surrounded by civilizations thousands of years older. But they had something those ancient empires had forgotten through millennia of stability. The sheer bloody-minded determination of a species that had clawed its way up from prey, animals to apex predators through countless generations of struggle. The Vrak had declared war, expecting easy conquest. They got a lesson in total warfare instead. Now the rest of the galaxy was watching, wondering if humanity was friend, foe, or something entirely new. Something dangerous. Something that refused to follow the established rules, because they'd written their own rules in the blood of their own history. Admiral Cole stood in the war room, looking at the star maps. Thousands of systems. Hundreds of species. Dangers unknown and allies uncertain, but also opportunities. Resources. Worlds waiting to be explored. A future limited only by humanity's courage. Let them watch, Cole said quietly to the stars. Let them wonder what we'll do next. And let them remember that when they came to our home with threats, we sent them running. He smiled grimly. The galaxy wanted to know about humanity. Now they'll learn. We're survivors. We're warriors. We're explorers. And we're just getting started. The end asterisk.